And there goes the cross. There they go. 68 boys now after the cross. Alright, I see one of the young men has got the cross. Let's take a look. 68 of them down there. Now they're opening the gates, letting these young men.
Okay. Yeah, the Bible is not a history book, nor is it a science book, but the Bible is the story of God's revelation to people. And the Bible begins in the first chapter of Genesis. It says, "And darkness was over the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God was moving, was over the face of the waters. Then God spoke." It says, "Let there be light," and there was light. Nothing happened. Creation and life began when God spoke. Welcome to one of our vlogs from St. Mark's Episcopal in Dalton, Georgia, and welcome those from Facebook and YouTube joining us. This is Epiphany, beginning of the Christian season, which means the revelation or the appearance of God, when God appears to be the Son of God to people, to the non-Jews and the Magi, to at the baptism of Jesus, and with John the Baptist, and at the wedding at Cana. We'll talk about some of those in coming weeks. But what we just saw was the Greek Orthodox Church down in Tarpon Springs, Florida, their celebration of Epiphany, which is very special for them because it's a special day for the Greek Orthodox and the Eastern Church, but also as the blessing of the waters. And most of the people in Tarpon Springs make their living historically by fishing for sponges and back in the 19th century, but also fishing and all that. So it's a blessing. It's a very holy day. I'd like to talk a whole lot about this ceremony in Tarpon Springs, Florida. It's very special, but I will do that some other time. But I will suggest, with all respect to the Georgia TCU football game that's going to be played tomorrow night, that this is the only sporting event, athletic event, that's diving for the cross that is also a religious ceremony. So we'll maybe talk about that some other time, but it's part of the Epiphany Day ceremony. And I'd like to bring this up about the story from Genesis of there was water first, and then God spoke, and life sprang up out of water. Scientists teach us that we eventually evolved from the sea onto land, and that's how life began. Well, the story of the baptism of Jesus continues in the third chapter of Matthew. Matthew approaches John the Baptist, and John the Baptist protests that he should not be baptizing Jesus, that Jesus could be baptizing him. And Jesus convinces him, he said, that we need to fulfill all righteousness. And when Jesus was baptized, and listen to this, is when Jesus was baptized, he went up immediately from the water, and the heavens were opened up, and he saw the Spirit of the God descend like a dove, and as a word from heaven, and said, and then a voice came from heaven and said, "This is my beloved Son, with whom I am pleased." So again, the waters, Jesus sprang up out of the water, and life began, and God spoke again, just as in Genesis, with he was well pleased. Continuing on in John, the story of the baptism, it says, or the story of the creation of Jesus, it says, "In Jesus was the Word." The Word in first chapter of John is Jesus he's speaking about. And the Word, and Jesus was the life. And the life was the light of the world. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness shall not overcome it. So this Epiphany, we Christians get to celebrate when God created life. First of all, the creation of the earth, and secondly, the new creation of Jesus coming up out of the water after the baptism and being the light of the world. And we Christians get to celebrate this, that God reveals himself to us. God appears to us in the life of Jesus, in the embodiment of Jesus. And this is what we celebrate during Epiphany. So because of that, God created not just the world, but created the new creation in Jesus, who sprang up out of the water and brought light into the world, we can say, thanks be to God. Alleluia, alleluia, alleluia.